Welcome back to the Observatory of the Human Condition, welcome back to whatever you need. We are the archivists of the moments that slip through the cracks of the official press release. We are here to read the silence between the lines and decode the body language that screams louder than any scripted dialogue. If you have been searching for a corner of the digital world where celebrity culture is dissected with the precision of a surgeon and the soul of a poet, you have finally arrived home. Before we step into the eye of the storm that has just engulfed two of Turkey's brightest stars, I invite you to ground yourself in our community. Please subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell so you never miss a chapter of these unfolding dramas, and if you wish to support the rigorous, independent storytelling we strive for, consider clicking the Join Cattle button. Your membership is the fuel that keeps this engine of truth running. Today, we are peeling back the curtain on a quiet storm that erupted in front of an entire crew, an emotional jolt between Akın Akınözü and Ebru Şahin that turned an ordinary shooting day into a delicate, professional crisis. It began like any other early call on set, lights warming up, camera rigs rolling into place, the smell of coffee and hairspray in the air. But by noon, the set was dark, the actors were gone, and the industry was whispering. We are not here to take sides. We are here to understand the anatomy of a breakdown. What happens when an actor's instinct collides with a partner's boundary? Where is the line between artistic authenticity and emotional safety? And can a trust that took years to build be shattered in a single, unscripted second? Get comfortable. We are going to the heart of the set. To understand the magnitude of the fallout, we must first reconstruct the scene. It was a day designed for intensity. The script pages were dotted with notes, the lighting was moody, and the director was eager to elevate the realism of the sequence. He gave a direction that is common in high-level acting but dangerous if mishandled: improvise. Keep the bones of the scene, he said, but if the moment takes you somewhere true, follow it. Trust your instincts. No one guessed how sharply those instincts would collide. Ebru Şahin, known for her disciplined focus and a finely tuned emotional compass, shifted into her preparation mode. She closed her eyes between takes, breathing into the character's wounded resilience, building a wall of emotion brick by brick. Across from her stood Akın Akınözü, a man of iron calm on the surface, but possessing a volcanic fire underneath. When the cameras rolled, the energy between them snapped into place. It was a magnet and a mirror. Then, the split-second choice happened. Akın followed the director's cue. He added a gesture and a line that was nowhere to be found in the script. It wasn't outrageous. It wasn't violent. But it was raw, intimate, and entirely unexpected. Everyone saw it land. The moment stretched too long. The camera cut. And the air in the studio turned thin. Ebru's expression faltered. Her hands began to tremble as she tried to steady her breathing. Her eyes glazed over, not with the anger of a diva, but with a sudden flood of feeling. The kind of shock that surprises even the person feeling it. She whispered something too soft for the boom mics to catch, turned away before anyone could reach her, and walked off the set. The dressing room door closed, and a silence fell so heavy it felt like a sound of its own. What happened in that dressing room remains private, but what happened on the soundstage was a collective paralysis. No one moved. Crew members, people who have seen everything from tantrums to injuries, glanced at each other, at the floor, at the monitors, waiting for a direction that didn't come. The director's hand hovered over his headset, and then dropped. In minutes, the day's work was cancelled. Schedules were reshuffled in real time. But why did this hit so hard? To the outsider, it might look like a simple disagreement. But to those inside the craft, it was a violation of the sacred contract between scene partners. Acting is a high-wire act. You agree to fall, trusting that the other person will catch you. When an improvisation happens without consent, even with the best artistic intentions, it can feel like the safety net has been snatched away. I want to pause here and ask you, the critics and creatives of our community, do you believe that method acting justifies catching a partner off guard? Is the pursuit of a perfect scene worth the emotional cost? Pause the video, leave your detailed thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video if you appreciate this level of deep analysis. What first looked like an isolated flicker began to reveal deeper cracks in the foundation of the production. People on the inside began to murmur, this wasn't the first sign of strain. Those close to the production whispered about the last few months. They spoke of breaks taken separately, of rehearsals kept strictly formal, of small creative disagreements shelved and never really resolved. They didn't fight, not in any obvious, shouting way, but the space between them had widened by inches every day. The improvisation simply brought everything to a head. It was a pressure point pressed in front of the only witnesses who would notice every tiny detail, the crew members who spend long days breathing the same air. The production company issued a short statement, an internal matter. No further comment. But silence in this case only fed the blaze. Overnight, the story spilled onto timelines and into group chats. The digital tribunal convened. Clips from past interviews were rewatched, behind-the-scenes moments were scrutinized, and body language became a national expertise. The comment section split, then doubled back, then split again. The defense for Ebru. One camp argued that women in high-pressure creative environments are often expected to absorb more than anyone sees. They pointed out that emotional safety is a right, not a luxury. She was protecting her peace, they wrote. You cannot ambush someone emotionally and call it art. The defense for Akın, the other camp rallied to Akın, arguing that he only followed the director's directive. They claimed he gave the scene everything he had, risking his own vulnerability to make the moment real. He was doing his job, they countered. It was a misunderstanding, not an attack. What no one disputed was this, something real had cracked open, and it couldn't be taped over in a single night. Backstage, the situation escalated quietly and quickly. The director convened an emergency meeting with producers. The mood was grim. On the table were choices no one wanted to consider. Option A, pause the shoot for a week to give the leads breathing room. The cost of this would be astronomical. Option B, rework the script to minimize shared scenes. This would compromise the artistic integrity of the story. Option C, the nuclear option, replace one of the leads and re-outline the entire season. Even floating that idea sent a ripple of shock through the team. These two aren't just names on a call sheet, they are the pulse of the project. Remove one, and the series becomes something else entirely. Meanwhile, the crew faced the fallout. Schedule changes, cost concerns, unanswered questions. What looked from the outside like a single tense encounter had become, for everyone involved, a professional emergency. Days like that remind a set that it's a living organism. When the heart stutters, the whole body feels it. What this moment unlocked was a bigger conversation that rarely makes it past the editing room. Should productions provide dedicated mental health support for actors working under extreme pressure? We ask athletes to have physiotherapists on the sidelines. We ask stunt performers to have paramedics on standby. But when actors are asked to dredge up trauma, grief, and rage for 140 minutes of television a week, who is there to catch them when the scene ends? Where do you place the line between artistic authenticity and personal well-being? And who decides when that line has been crossed? An actor in the moment, a director in the monitor village, or a producer balancing vision with responsibility? This incident between Akın and Ebru has forced the Turkish industry to look in the mirror and ask if the cost of the perfect shot is becoming too high. In the days that followed, both stars kept quiet. Ebru's social feeds went still, a digital silence that spoke volumes. Akın didn't post either, choosing not to add heat to an already overheated story. Insiders say he returned to set with restraint, polite, focused, and noticeably distant, like someone carrying a full glass through a crowded room, terrified of spilling a drop. To stabilize things, the production brought in mediators. The goal wasn't to assign blame but to stitch trust back together, thread by thread. Protect the project. Safeguard the team. Restore balance on set. Inside the studio, the solutions were practical. A revised shooting plan softened the hardest days. Scenes were staggered. Notes were given with clarity and care. The director sharpened the lines around improvisation, no surprises, not without consent. Every person on set needed to know that their emotional dignity mattered as much as the shot. And still, people close to the process admitted it would take time. Even with mediators and schedules and careful planning, healing doesn't follow a call sheet. Until the trust between Ebru and Akın feels whole again, peace on set will remain delicate. Less a conclusion than a truce. The cameras will turn, the scenes will be captured, but everything will be handled like crystal, with 2 hands and a breath held. If there's a larger truth here, it's this: every flawless moment on screen is a bridge built over a beating heart. What happened between Akın Akınözü and Ebru Şahin wasn't just a production hiccup. It was a reminder that creativity and emotion are braided together, and when you tug on one, the other moves too. Sometimes that braid holds, and sometimes it frays in ways no one intended. In the quieter hours after the incident, both actors reportedly sat with the same question from different angles: what does the work ask of me, and what am I allowed to ask of myself? The next time the call came, first positions, rolling, quiet on set, they stepped into the light with care. Acknowledgement lived in their eyes, an unspoken agreement to protect the scene, and the human beings creating it. Whichever path this story takes, you'll be able to trace the beginning back to a day that was supposed to be ordinary, and a choice made in service of truth that shone too bright for a moment. There's one more note the team kept repeating to each other in hushed hallways: we're all here for the same thing. To tell a story. Ironically, it was the off-camera chapter that reminded everyone what that means. The story doesn't end when the director calls cut. It continues in the space where 2 actors decide what the work costs and who pays. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the human side of the industry, on Whatever You Need. If you value these honest conversations, please subscribe and click join. Until next time, remember to be kind to the people behind the characters. Goodbye.